Okay. Is it edit post? No. Sorry. Tried to do edit audience. I thought that's what we usually did. Edit live video.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Thing keeps jumping.
Let's go with a different tab.
Settings.
Oh, settings. Yep, that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Followed.
Start it up, please.
Yes.
I'd like to call the Maysville Board of Commissioners Thursday, January the 8th, 2024 to order. We will begin with our invocation. Reverend Burton.
Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for this evening that you have given us, Lord. We just thank you for the watch and care that you give over this city. I thank you for, God, those that you have placed in authority. God, as we read in your word, that we are to give honor to those and that you have placed in authority, and we do so. God, we just thank you for the work that goes on through the employees from the bottom up to the top. God, just pray for your protection. And God, just may this meeting go well. God, may it be honor and glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Burton. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmel?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Here.
Commissioner McKay?
Here.
Mayor Cotterill?
Yes, ma'am.
City Manager Wallingford?
Here.
City Attorney Cottle?
Here.
Controller Radasta?
Here.
HR Director Rose?
Here.
Project Coordinator Horde?
Here.
Public Works Director King?
Here.
Police Chief Palmer?
Here.
Fire Chief Doyle?
Here.
Utility Manager Spence?
Here.
Zoning Administrator Larger?
Here.
Building Inspector Fawcett?
Here.
Codes Officer Brooks?
Here.
Tourism Director Bailey?
Here.
Main Street Director Reese?
Thank you. Also like to welcome Judge Executive Owen McNeil and Commissioner Joe Hay. Minutes of January 11th, 2023, regular meeting and department reports.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve it today.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmel?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Mayor Cotterill?
Yes, ma'am. Public announcements?
Is there a possibility of us getting monthly updates until the audit's finished?
Monthly updates.
Yeah.
On what?
Let's talk about how things are going,
In regard to,
the audit.
yeah, I mean, I informed you that you got in the email that I sent you that we had filed an extension with the Department for Local Government that was approved. That extension goes through the end of this year, although we will have the audit prepared for you next month.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have it ready. Yeah,
All right.
our goal is to have it ready for you and to be able for you all to approve it at the March meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Public announcements?
Caitlin, you got anything?
Yes, we have
To
some.
Caitlin, stand up so you can get closer to the mic so we can hear you.
Okay. We have some great events coming up this weekend. So we are still doing our weekly updates Thursday and or Friday on WFTM. So some of the events that are coming up is Love and Marriage game show at the Opera Theater, hosted by the Maysville Players. That's this Saturday at 8 p.m. And then they also have 9 to 5, the musical that's coming up starting February the 29th. Pandemonium has live music this Friday and Saturday night. Kenton Stories with Spirit is doing a mixology class. I think Hemingway's has live music both nights. Taters has live music Saturday night. And Kenton's has a piano now, so there's a lot of exciting stuff going on downtown. So, you know, if you ever hear anyone say there's nothing to do in Maysville, they're wrong.
Thank you. I will briefly give you an update. I spoke with Judge McNeil yesterday. He tells me that for the hotel downtown, the owners have submitted their plans to the state. So they're remodeling plans and all that. So that has been submitted. And in regard to Hayeswood, Buffalo Trace has been working to put a spot on their website for public information. And they've almost completed the community involvement plan. They've been having some back and forth with the Environmental Protection Agency on the request for proposals for an environmental consultant. And they're kind of going back and forth with Frontier, Buffalo Trace is. But she said as soon as they get the information or the website set up, she'll let me know so we can get it posted out there that folks can go to VTAD's website to get updates on the hospital. Yeah, yeah. So it's moving forward too. Anybody else? Any other staff members have a public announcement or anything? Okay.
Public comment? Appointment, Ray Young to the Buffalo Trace Ad Board. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. And he will be taking the seat of Mr. Bill Shivers, who's rotating off, and I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Shivers for his service on the ad board.
Go ahead, Mayor. Sorry.
You have something?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. I was going to hand something out, but you can go and announce the next one.
Discussion, Marshall Key House.
You got one? Okay, just making sure you got it. Good. Yes, so I was approached by Jenny B. and Robert, 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe. In the lease agreement we have with the Elizabeth Wallingford Old Washington Preservation, Inc., was that they were supposed to start this year taking over utility payments and maintenance of the grounds. They approached me about the possibility of amending the lease so that the city would continue to pay the utilities and maintain the grounds. As you can see, they've given you their investment numbers. I think I mentioned to you in my email that last year utilities were almost $9,600, with the vast majority of that being the gas bill, which was almost $7,200. Electric and water is pretty low. But I did inform them that I can't amend the lease. That's up to the 5 of you, and they asked if they could come and speak to you about that. And so that's the overview. Jenny B., Robert, Barb, is there anything you'd want to add?
Yes. I'd like to thank the city. I think we work well together. The city owns the property, and they had approached us about helping restore it. And so we started on the project, and it has been a lot more work than we thought. Thanks to David Horde, we've gotten the water solution in the basement, and we've done a lot of brickwork, plaster work, restored windows, restored doors. So we're bringing it back to the way it was back in the 1800s. Since it is a lot more expense, and we're still working on it, we are hoping to be ready for the tourist season in April. But we still have other projects that you can see that will be ongoing. And with old houses, it's continuous work. And we also had a consultant come in, and we have more display things, and besides being the place where Harry Beecher Stowe came and saw the slave auction and was a big aspect of the Civil War, we want to make it an ongoing learning and history experience. So we want to have the rooms available for people to come and meet, for history, to learn more, and it's just going to be a wonderful place. So we will have no income coming in. So that's why we were hoping that the city would continue to just pay the utilities and we will upkeep the building. And I sent those sheets, so does anybody have any questions about the work? We hope everyone will come out and see the building and use it. And if anybody has any questions, Deborah?
Cindy, would you mind to tell the commissioners a little bit about what the committee's been working on and how that might impact tourism?
We had a consultant that came in and we got a committee together, including tourism, Mayor Cottrell, historic preservationist, John Clee from the college, Randy Runyon, a historical writer. And so besides delving into the past, we want to work on the future with everyone getting along, with all kinds of, from, excuse me, different populations, just all working together.
Well, and
Do you have another take? You were at the meetings.
well, I just want to share that I have been so impressed with that committee, and because of the work they've done. They have put in hours and hours on research and a lot of thought into how this is going to impact, and especially whether that's school tours and children or adults or whoever that audience is. I've been impressed with the thought process of appealing to the different groups and the different ages and the different interests, and how you're going to make this flexible enough to fit all of those things. So I do want to congratulate you and that committee for the work that you've done.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for serving on the board.
I'd like to add, I'm going to be there tomorrow from like 1 to 4. If any of the commissioners or anyone want to come out and see the work, it is going to be absolutely lovely. The floors have all been refinished. Walls are definitely now being painted, and it's coming together, and it's going to be beautiful. It's a beautiful home. We're very fortunate to be able to work together and have such a fine, stately home.
So we're just,
Well, I don't know. Could they go on and do something, or would you rather prepare a resolution to amend it? What, I mean, you could probably rattle one off the top of your head if you had to.
Yeah.
But my question to the five of you is, how do you want to do it? Do you want to set a certain number of years?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, or, go ahead, Kelly.
So when we signed the lease, the city agreed to pay the utilities for 3 years beginning January 1st of 2021 and to maintain the grounds. Are you asking for the city to pay and maintain the grounds for the remainder of the entire term of the lease? Or are you asking for another 3 years and seeing where we are? Or, I mean, have you thought of,
Could we do it as long as we maintain the building, that the city would pay the utilities? If we're taking care of all the upkeep on the building, would you do the utilities part?
And we own it, right?
Yes,
You own
we own the property.
You own the
I
property.
think we should.
Okay.
Sorry. I think we should.
So do you want it, Kelly, do you think we could, a motion to amend the lease, or?
let's just do a resolution. Do you care if I read a resolution from my mind?
Go ahead.
A resolution authorizing amendment to a lease agreement with Elizabeth Wallingford Old Washington Preservation, Inc. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute an amended lease agreement with the Elizabeth Wallingford Old Washington Preservation, Inc. for the property located at 2124 Old Main Street, Maysville, Kentucky, to provide that the city will maintain the exterior grounds of the property throughout the term of the lease and to pay for the necessary utilities throughout the term of the lease.
So moved.
Very good. You want to keep that, you need to keep that, Kelly?
No, I've got it.
Okay.
I have a motion.
You have a motion?
Turn them in the lease.
And a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartmel?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay? Mayor Cottrell?
Once we-
Barbara's confused. so-
I'm sorry. What do you,
I don't understand, we were just talking about the lease, how long is the
I
lease?
can't remember.
it's, no,
It's already-
it's,
I
it's,
say- I suggest that as long as we maintain the property.
it's renewed annually. It automatically renews unless either party decides they want to get out. It's automatically renewed. Unless, yes, the lease shall be automatically renewed for additional annual one-year terms beginning July 1, 2022, unless by May 1st of any year, either party shall serve written notice upon the other of its intention not to renew, excuse me.
And it's a part of the tour in
Yes.
Washington.
Once we get this redone, Jenny B,
Yeah.
you'll get you all to sign it, okay?
We're still limited to 1-year leases, aren't
We are, yes, it ought, but there's an out clause, Dave.
I
We
understand.
have to have an out clause that either party can get out of the
Okay.
lease, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Yes, thank you.
Update utilities project.
All right, so I'm gonna stand up, y'all don't care. A couple weeks ago, last week, whatever, we had, obviously, the issue where we had the water line break there at AA and 11 that serves, that's the main line that serves Maysville, goes over, hits 324, hits the tank on 324, and then goes to Maysville and various other areas on that side. Myself and Darren and Luke and David, 2 weeks ago, we went to Louisville. Strand Engineering Company put on a little one-day seminar workshop for all cities that are along the, well, not even along the Ohio River, those along the Ohio River, and anybody that is under a consent decree with the state regarding a long-term control plan, combined sewer overflow projects and all that. And I don't know what, well, I know what they think, but I think we came away from that knowing that, for lack of a better term, we're screwed any way we go. Whether we finish the CSO project or not, the EPA is probably not going to let this go. For example, the city of Henderson has completed their CSO project. They submitted their application to the state, their permit to get, so they could be done. You all correct me if I'm wrong, EPA came back and said, no, you're not done. Even though they had done what they were told to do. So where we were and where we are, our CSO project originally started back in, I believe, 2011 or 2012. We got an $11 million loan from the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. And I know Commissioner McKay and Commissioner Cartwell, I believe you all were on the board when, if you recall, we had to raise our sewer rates 45%.
I was on the commission.
Yeah. Yeah, divided over 3 years, so it was 15%, 15%, 50%. KIA required us to raise those rates in order to get the loan, which we are, for the project that we are, the unfunded mandate project that we are required to do.
We have to show an ability to repay the loan. That's why,
Right,
that's why the
I understand.
increase.
Right, correct, yes, correct. Just after that, I don't know if you recall, we did a $4 million project to the wastewater plant. And part of that money we got from KIA, part of it was forgivable. I think around 1.8 or 2.1 was forgivable. So most recently, we've done a project down here at Wall Street, $850,000. So those are all KIA projects that we have to, they're loans that we have to pay back. We submitted paperwork last week or the week before to KIA for phase 5 of long-term control plan, which is upgrades to the Limestone Street, Washington Street, and Main Street lift stations, That's about a $3.2 million project. KIA is currently going over the paperwork, and Joseph had a conversation last week before with a member. They're basically reviewing it to see if we're gonna have to raise the rates for this one. The next one, which is phase 6, is upgrades to our sewer plant. Once we separate the sanitary and storm sewers, essentially what happens is more flow will go to the wastewater treatment plant. So it has to be able to handle more gallons per day. So that's why we have to do upgrades to that plant. That's gonna be, right now, the estimate is 9.3 million. I'd say we're most likely looking at 11 to a $12 million project. I would say there's no doubt in my mind when that goes to KIA that they're gonna make us raise our rates. I mean, we're not gonna have we have to do these projects, or we're not in conformance with the state and the EPA on the combined sewer overflow project. After that, roughly a $6 million project, upgrades to the Beasley Creek Pump Station and force main improvements. This is all part of the CSO, the long-term control plan, consent decree. Then you've got Wall Street and rotary pump station upgrades, which is gonna be probably in the range of $8 million. So just right now, we've already spent roughly $15 million on the CSO. We're looking at another $30 million. And Darren, our deadline is 2032, correct? We're definitely gonna reach out to the state and EPA and say, hey, there's no way we're not gonna be able to meet 2032. As an example, Sanitation District 1, which is up in northern Kentucky, their consent decree goes through 2040. And I think there's some other cities who are under this consent decree that get pushed to 2040. So we're gonna ask for an extension. Now, that's just the long-term control plan, which at this point, we have to do. We can't get out of it. So we're probably looking at $30 million. One of the things we've been talking about, I know Mark talked to you about this a while back, we need a new water treatment plant. We're losing industry on top of the hill because we don't have the capacity to feed. We also have issues going down to international paper. We obviously have issues out in Maysville. If we didn't do a new water treatment plant, which probably the estimation on that's going to be about $40 million. And if we were able to build a new one, most likely on top of the hill, we would take the old plant down here and use it basically as a supercharged pump station where we would be pumping the water. All right, let's talk about Maysville. David was able to get some revised numbers from Strand Engineer. We had this project in the hopper at KIA 3, 4, 5 years ago, and we pulled it because we knew we were required to do these sewer improvements, that we had to do those. So in order to get a new water line, a redundant water line out to Maysville to serve them, and possibly another water tank, which we have looked at property, you're driving out 68, opposite of Hinton Mills, on the property opposite of them. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, the water line is about 3.1, and the tank is about 3.1. Originally for both, it was about 3.2. So you can see what's happened to the cost. We met with the Buffalo Trace team last week. Christy Dodge is looking into economic development and administration funds, grant funds for this project, as well as rural development funds through USDA. If we could couple those together, we could probably get enough money to pay for the water line through grant money. And at a minimum, we're gonna have to do that water line. The water line to help serve out there. So what happens is you've got a redundant source of water. If something happens to the line on 11, you have another source coming from Washington that would feed and provide water to the folks out there. So again, that's probably a $6 million project. Cut it in half at a minimum just to do the water line. We've also talked about a water line, again, going down to Clyde T. Barber to serve International Paper and the folks that live out on Pickett Lane and out in that area. That's probably a $3.5 to $4 million project. And this is including other stuff that probably needs to happen. we're looking at anywhere from $80 to $90 million worth of projects. The reason I wanted to bring this up is the fact that it's not if we're gonna have to raise rates, it's when. My concern with all this is if we go to raising rates to do these projects, I mean, for the sewer projects, we're probably gonna have to in order to get loan money. My concern is environmental justice. Are citizens gonna be able to pay these water bills? It's a concern. Are they, if we're having to raise rates in order to fund these projects that we're required to do, are our citizens going to be able to pay their bills? And it's a real concern, and that was a concern that came out, David, Darren, from, other cities who were in the same situation. I've taken all these numbers and I've sent them to Senator West. I did have a meeting with him a couple weeks ago, and his question was, are we a regional water authority? Absolutely, we're a regional water authority. We sell water to Buffalo Trail. We sell water to Western Louis Rectorville. We sell water to the city of Flemingsburg. So we are a regional authority. So, I'm hoping he might be able to do his best to possibly get a line item somewhere in a budget to fund a water plant. Because that would be huge. I mean, again, I think, we're losing out on economic development opportunities, pressure issues that, you have around the city and around the county. I just wanted to bring this to your light, not only your all's light, but the public. Because I know the public is frustrated, particularly the folks that are out in Maysville, and they have every right to be. And it's no fault of Darren and his crews. They've worked their tail off to make these repairs, but there has to be improvements. And we're going to have to tackle these sooner rather than later.
Well, we serve a lot of farmers out right in the Mays Lake area.
Sure we do.
And,
Sure we do.
and David, is that, after my place, does that line at one point go to 3 inches? Doesn't it get strangled out there somewhere around North Fork?
No, I mean, it's.
Well, what you have,
I think it's 4 inch crossing the North Fork.
what we are going to do it's not a temporary Band-Aid, but it's something that will help. There is a line that comes, the main line that serves Mays Lake comes from the water tank out of Industrial Park 4. It goes out to 324 and goes over. There's a 6-inch line, Darren, that comes from Maple Leaf that goes and feeds Lewisburg, Mount Gilead, that area.
Mm-hmm.
So what Darren's crews are going to do, they're going to run 300 feet?
Yeah, right.
About 300 feet of pipe, and they're going to tie both those lines in. So if something does happen to that main line, at least at a minimum, we can shut that off, turn the valve, get water coming from Maple Leaf in that 6-inch line. Now, they're not going to have great pressure, but at least they will have water. So we are going to do that in the meantime. That's probably going to be what, $8,000-$10,000?
Yeah, every bit.
Every that.
About 10.
Okay. So we are looking to do that, but we've got a lot of improvements we have to make, and I think it's only fair that the public knows that these projects are coming, and we're going to do our best to get them funded by other sources other than a loan, or out of our general fund. We may have to transfer some money out of our general fund to the utility fund to help pay for some of these projects. So that's an update. Thank you all.
Thank you, Matt. Resolution authorizing the application for sewer overflow and stormwater reuse multiple grant.
A resolution authorizing the application for sewer overflow and stormwater reuse municipal grant with the Kentucky Division of Water for the Maysville Flood Risk Reduction Project. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary for the application for and acceptance of a sewer overflow and stormwater reuse municipal grant from the Kentucky Division of Water for the Maysville Flood Risk Reduction Project. This resolution shall be retroactive to January 24th, 2024.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing transit grant application 24-05.
Resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Department of Transportation, United States of America for a grant under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and a resolution committing the local share of the funds necessary to secure section 5311, 5339, 5310, 5303, and 5304 grant application. Whereas the Secretary of Transportation is authorized to make grants for mass transportation projects, and whereas the contract for financial assistance will impose certain obligations upon the applicant, including the provision by it of local share of the project costs, whereas it is required by the U.S. Department of Transportation in accordance with the provisions of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that in connection with the filing of an application for assistance under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the applicant gives an assurance that it will comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Department of Transportation requirements thereunder. And whereas it is required by the U.S. Department of Transportation in accordance with the provisions of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 that in connection with the filing of an application for assistance, the applicant gives an assurance that it will comply with Section 504 of Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the U.S. Department of Transportation requirements thereunder. Whereas it is required by the U.S. Department of Labor in accordance with the provisions of Section 5333B of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that in connection with the filing of an application for assistance under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and in the absence of a waiver from the U.S. Department of Labor, the applicant gives assurance that it will comply with Section 5333B of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the U.S. Department of Labor requirements thereunder. Whereas it is the goal of the applicant that disadvantaged business enterprises be utilized to the fullest extent possible in connection with this project, and the definite procedures shall be established and administered to ensure that disadvantaged businesses shall have maximum feasible opportunity to compete for contracts when procuring construction contracts, supplies, equipment contracts, or consultant and other services. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, City of Maysville, Kentucky, hereinafter referred to as Applicants Governing Board of the City of Maysville, Kentucky, hereinafter referred to as applicant, authorizes the following in regards to the mayor, hereinafter referred to as agency representative. Section 1, the agency representative of the applicant is authorized to execute and file an application on behalf of the applicant with the U.S. Department of Transportation to aid in the financing of the capital operating administrative assistance projects described in the attachment. 2, that the agency representative is authorized to execute and file with such application an assurance or any other document required by the U.S. Department of Transportation effectuating the purpose of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. 3, that the agency representative of the applicant is authorized to set forth and execute affirmative minority business policies in connection with the project's procurement needs. 4, that the agency representative of the applicant is authorized to set forth and execute with such application an assurance that the applicant will comply with the conditions of Section 5333B warranty as required by the U.S. Department of Labor, effectuating the purposes of Section 5333B Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. 5, that the agency representative is authorized to furnish such additional information as the U.S. Department of Transportation may require in connection with the application or the project. 6, that the agency representative is authorized to execute grant contract agreements on behalf of the applicant with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for aid in the financing of the capital operating and administrative assistant projects. 7, that the agency representative is authorized to sign all grant, budgets, application, and contract agreements via electronic signature on behalf of applicant with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. 8, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its adoption. Whereas applicant is authorized by Kentucky Revised Statute 96.189 to apply for and accept grants of money to assist in the implementation of a transit system or for transportation planning in the City of Maysville service area. And whereas applicant has applied to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and Federal Transit Administration of the United States Department of Transportation Act of 1964 in connection with the Section 5311, 5339, 5310, 5303, and 5304 project. And whereas said applicant requires assurance of the applicant's governing board relative to the commitment of the local share for Section 5311, 39, 10, 03, and 04 projects. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the applicant's governing board hereby gives assurance that it is the intent of this body to commit its local share of the funds necessary to support the project to improve transit service in applicant's service area as stated above for a minimum of 5 years from the inception of the project. Said local share of expenses is to be resolved from general fund, including bus fares. 2, that the applicant's governing board hereby gives assurance that it is the intent of this body to continue the operation of transit service or planning for transit service for a minimum of 5 years.
Thank you, Kelly.
Can you read that again? I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing agreement with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for Maysville River Park Improvement Project 24-06.
Resolution authorizing agreement with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Maysville River Park Improvement Project. Be it resolved by the City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the agreement and any and all other documents necessary with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Maysville River Park Improvement Project.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Maysville Sidewalk Improvement Project 24-07.
Resolution authorizing agreement with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Maysville Sidewalk Improvement Project. Be it resolved by the City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the agreement and any and all other documents necessary with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the Maysville Sidewalk Project.
I'll make that motion.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing the lease with the Commonwealth of Kentucky for Health and Family Services 24-08.
Resolution authorizing lease with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services. Be it resolved by the City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a lease renewal agreement with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services, 201 Government Street, Maysville, Kentucky.
Motion. I'll make that.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing a lease with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Workforce Investment 24-09.
Resolution authorizing lease with Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Workforce Investment. Be it resolved by the City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a lease renewal agreement with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Workforce Investment, 201 Government Street, Maysville, Kentucky.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing a lease with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Corrections 24-10.
Resolution authorizing lease with Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Corrections. Be it resolved by the City of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a lease renewal agreement with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Corrections, 101 East Second Street, Maysville, Kentucky.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing participation in the FYE 2025 Road Aid Fund Program 24-11.
Resolution authorizing participation in the cooperative program for the state fiscal year 2025 for the municipal road aid program. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary with the Department for Rural and Municipal Aid to participate in the cooperative program for the municipal aid road aid funds.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, if I may, how many miles of road do we have now that's eligible for that?
David, I don't know that off the top of my head. Dave, do you know how many road miles we have? Within the, just, well, our roads,
Yeah,
local roads. I can find that out.
Okay.
I can find that out. Just check your, yeah, I can find that out.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing insurance application 24-12.
Resolution authorizing insurance application. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the underwriting renewal survey / application from Kentucky League of Cities Insurance Services.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing bid for the Maysville River Park 24-13.
Resolution awarding contract for operation of the Maysville River Park. Whereas the city of Maysville advertised for proposals in accordance with plans and specifications as follows. Subject, operation of the Maysville River Park advertised on January 24, 2024 and January 27, 2024. Bid opening February 7, 2024. Whereas sealed bids were received from the following persons. Gary Blanton, $8,500. Ernest Pearsall, $12,105. Ricky and Marcia Monteith, $15,010. Mike Mack, $20,151. Whereas the city manager has recommended acceptance of the fourth bid as the best bid, now therefore be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky as follows. 1, the bid of Mike Mack for the subject contract described above is hereby accepted on behalf of the city of Maysville. 2, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed forthwith to execute all contractual documents necessary or appropriate to effectuate acceptance of said bid and to consummate the contract on behalf of the city of Maysville.
I'll please make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing 911 service grant.
Resolution for application for and administration of Kentucky 911 Services Board. Resolution of the City of Maysville, Kentucky, authorizing the mayor to make application for and upon approval to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky 911 Services Board to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by Kentucky 911 Service Board to facilitate and administer the project and to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. This resolution also establishes procurement policy for any Kentucky 911 Services Board approved project for the fiscal year, it says 2019 application cycle. Whereas the city of Maysville, Kentucky desires to make an application for Kentucky 911 Services Board and/or Commonwealth of Kentucky funds for a project to be administered by Kentucky 911 Services Board. Whereas it is recognized that an application for and approval of the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security funds impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the city. Now therefore be it resolved this 8th day of February 2024 by City of Maysville, Mason County, Kentucky. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute and furnish all required documentation, including a memorandum of agreement, as may be required by Kentucky 911 Services Board for the furtherance of the above reference project and to act as the authorized correspondent for said project for the purpose of any Kentucky 911 Services Board funded projects using fiscal year 2020 funds. The city will use the provisions of KRS 45A for the purchase of equipment and/or services. For any equipment and/or services under $30,000, 3 quotes will be obtained. For any equipment and/or services that exceeds $30,000, the provisions of KRS 45A will apply.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing a lease agreement with Amtrak 24-15.
Resolution authorizing a lease agreement with Amtrak. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a lease agreement with Amtrak for a property located at West Front and Rosemary Clooney Streets for a passenger station and platform.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution authorizing memorandum of agreement for Community Crisis Co-Response Grant 24-16.
Resolution authorizing memorandum of understanding for the Kentucky Community Crisis Co-Response Grant Program. Be it resolved by the city of Maysville, Kentucky, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute Kentucky Community Crisis Co-Response Grant Program memorandum of understanding and any and all other such documents necessary to receive and administer the grant. This resolution shall be retroactive to January 24th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay? Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am.
I got one more thing. I'd like to thank all those who helped Darren in that catastrophic water break.
Yes.
Here, here. Your guys.
As cold as it was too.
Rain made it rough right there
Yeah.
tonight.
Good job, good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
George, do we have a date yet for the, in public meetings for the comprehensive plan when UK will bring us back to proposed project?
This was sometime this spring.
All right, so we'll be on the watch out for that date so that people can give input on their, summary that they put together for us.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Mayor and commissioners, I have nothing else for you tonight.
And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay? Mayor Cottrell?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
There we go.